Morning children, 9th class, sorry, 10th class student. Okay, we are going to start with a chapter, money and credit. Is that clear? Economics, your political science is completed. We had done in the last, we had done the outcomes of democracy and the notes are given to you all. Okay, today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is money and credit. We all know that the value of money as such. Okay, we know that the most important function of money is that with the help of money we can buy any commodity from the market. A person who is holding cash can go to the market and buy whatever he desires. In modern life, money is the only and the most important, it is the medium of exchange. Okay, and here we have to study a little about banking. Why banking? Because money is closely connected with credit arrangement of a country. Earlier, when money was not there, there used to be a system which was called as barter system. You must have heard about it. Okay, and in this barter system, commodities were exchanged with each other. But there was one fact which was existing with barter system that was called as double coincidence of want. Let us see how. Say for example, in barter system, if there is a person who's having wheat to sell, and he's having the desire to buy shoes, okay, then what is going to happen, he has to search for a person who's having shoes to sell and wheat to buy. That is, both the sides, the demand should coincide, and this concept is called as double coincidence of want, which is completely eliminated once money come into existence. And with the help of that, whatever we desire, shoe we desire, wheat we desire, we can go and buy whatever we desire. Okay, so we are going to study about here, but you have to remember one thing, that the most important function of money is it acts as a medium of exchange. Okay, now when we talk about modern forms of money, the second topic is modern forms of money. When we talk of modern forms of money, you all know it very well that the modern forms of money is currency as well, that is paper notes or coins. Okay, now paper notes as well as coins, which are not made of precious metal. Earlier, during Mughal period or any other period, there was a precious metal which was being used. They were gold also, silver also, but today it is neither of it now. It is not made out of all that, no precious metal, and paper currency is being made by the government. Okay, and if we take this money, that is modern forms of money, coins or currency, whatever we see, we know it very well that on its own, it is just a paper for us. Okay, it is of no use on its own. But once you go to the market, you can buy anything with the help of that currency. This is the importance of money. Now, who makes this money? It is being made by the Reserve Bank of a country. It is being printed by the Reserve Bank of a country, and nobody else is allowed to print this currency. If they are printing this currency, they are doing some kind of cheating. The RBI is authorized by the government of India to print paper currency on the behalf of the government. Okay, what is RBI and what are its functions? I'm going to tell you all later on. Okay, now we are going to do, that is deposit with bank. Okay, when we talk of deposits with bank, what happens is this: deposit with bank, we are going to also call this demand deposit. Okay, and this is also a form of money. Let us see how. When people have got extra cash, what they do, that it is very dangerous to keep it at home. So what they do, they keep certain amount of money with them, and the rest extra cash, what they do, they deposit in the bank. The bank keeps this money safe of that particular individual by opening an account, and plus it also gives them an interest. Okay, now what does the bank do with this extra cash which it is keeping on behalf of the people? Bank does what? That it keeps a certain amount of money for its day-to-day transactions. Say, for example, if a person has deposited 1 lakh, 1 lakh, maybe the bank is going to keep 15% for day-to-day transaction. The rest 85, it is going to use to forward or to cater to those people who are in need of money in the form of credit. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so it is going to give that money in the form of credit. Now, bank does what? That is, in case of that person needs to withdraw this money, the bank, they can always go to the bank and on demand, it can withdraw that money. Therefore, this money which is kept in the bank, it is called as what? Demand deposit. On demand, they can withdraw it. Okay, this is also one form of money. Please remember, along with currency, coins, demand deposit is also a form of money. Why? Because the bank gives a facility which is called as check. Okay, what is check? Check is just a paper instructing the bank to pay. What happens is that they get a checkbook. Everybody, you must be aware of this all kind of transaction which is being made with bank. Okay, check is just a paper which is instructing the bank to pay a specific amount of money to the person who has bought this check, and it is signed by that person whose account is there. Okay, and the person can go and can withdraw the money, that is the check. You can get this check encashed without actually, transaction is taking place without actually any kind of money which is involved. Okay, so this is all about deposit with bank. Now, what does the bank do with this extra cash? No doubt, we know that it is it forwards to what? To those people who are in need of it. Okay, those persons who are coming to take credit, the bank charge a higher rate of interest, little bit higher rate of interest. And we who are putting our demand deposit over there, we get a lower rate of interest. Okay, we get an interest, but it is lesser as compared to those people who are paying. The difference between these two, the difference between these two, this and this, it is called as income of bank. Income of bank, on the basis of which the bank functions. Is that clear? It is on the basis of this that the bank functions. Okay, so this is all about your demand deposit, check facilities, okay, credit being forwarded to people, and so on. Now, next we are going to do, that is two different credit situation. Okay, two different credit situation. Say for example, two different credit situations. Now, credit, when it is taken by various persons, it helps them to fulfill their production process and also complete their expenses. Plus they have to pay on time. So here what happens is this: when a person takes a credit and completes his work on time, and then he earns profit, credit over here plays a very important and positive role. But children, please pay attention. Credit always doesn't play a very positive role. Credit can play both a negative role as well as a positive role. Here an example of Lakshmi is given, that she is having 2 hectares of land, and she has taken loan and by from the cooperative or whoever, and by chance that year what happens that the crop is affected by pest. Okay, so she is not able to pay back the money, and then in the next year the crop is okay, but then the interest is already reached to a very great level. So finally she enters into a situation which is called as debt trap. She has entered into a situation of debt trap, and where the recovery of the person is very painful. If any person enters into debt trap, the recovery is always very painful. Okay. Another example is given of Salim, who's a shoemaker. He gets a very big order. He takes a certain amount of loan, and he also takes in advance the leather from from some other big manufacturer, and completes everything on time. And he is able to deliver everything on time, and he earns a lot of profit. So here what we see, that the credit is playing a very positive role because it is helping that person to complete his production process. So here what we are going to discuss is this, that under two different credit situations, credit can take both a negative as well as positive. Okay, very easy to take credit, but very difficult to pay back. Is that clear? Now, in rural India, what we find that the people take credit for crop production because they have to take fertilizers, they have to take seeds, pesticides, insecticides, and often they are not able to pay back. So they are often pushed into a condition which is called as debt trap. And finally, they can come out of this debt trap only by selling a piece of the land. Okay, that is why the condition of farmers is very bad. Now, next we are going to learn about terms of credit. Children, this chapter is quite short and very easy. It is one of the easiest chapter of your entire syllabus and it will not take much time. Okay. Next we are going to talk about terms of credit. Now, anyone who goes to the bank is not blindly, does not extend loans to each person, any XYZ person. But before going and asking for credit, you have to complete certain formalities to get the credit. These formalities are called as terms of credit. Okay, if you want to take 1 lakh of loan from the bank, you have to keep some security with the bank. This security is called as collateral. This security must exceed to the value of money. If you are taking a loan of 1 lakh, okay, the security which you are keeping, it must be around 1.50, 1 lakh. Then only the bank will give you the loan of 1 lakh. This is the most important condition which a person has to fulfill. Then only that person is going to get loan. Okay? Special. Now, beside that, there are two, three other things also. One is security, which is also called as collateral. Okay? Second is interest rate, which he has to give. Okay? Then documents, which he has to present. And the last is mode of payment. Kindly pay attention, children, over here. These four things: collateral, okay, interest rate, documents, and mode of repayment or payment. These all together are called as terms of credit. Until and unless a person does not fulfill all these four conditions, he is not entitled to take the credit. Okay. Now, what is collateral? Collateral can be anything. It can be your land, any plot, it can be your livestock, it can be your building, your vehicle, your deposit with the bank, or any other thing, even gold also. This the person can keep as security and take the loan. If the borrower fails to repay this amount of 1 lakh which he is taking, the bank will do what? The bank is going to sell this collateral and recover its money. Okay, so it is very easy for bank. Nobody can escape from the money of bank. You have to repay if you have taken the credit. आप बैंक का पैसा लेके कोई भी उसको खा नहीं सकता है. Okay. Next, we are going to read about formal and informal sources of credit. Here, pay attention. Formal and informal sources of credit. When we talk about formal and informal sources of credit, the word itself tells you that there are two sources of credit. One is formal and the second is informal. Formal means you have to be very formal, you have to fulfill all the conditions, all the documentations, all the formalities, then only you're entitled to take the credit. Informal, you need not complete any kind of formality, but you take the credit. Formal sources of credit are two: banks and cooperatives. Informal sources can be anything. It can be money lender, it can be relative, it can be your friend, it can be any person. Here you do not have to give collateral, just your name can itself help you to get the money. Okay. Now, formal sources of credit, they are monitored by an institution which is called as RBI. What we are called as? It is called, I'm talking this. It is called as RBI. The most important institution as well as financial transaction is concerned in a country. It is called as Reserve Bank of India. The headquarter is in Mumbai. That is why Mumbai is called as the financial capital of our country. RBI is also called as Bankers Bank. Why? Because it monitors the working of all the bank. Every bank is supposed to give all kind of information to whom it is lending, how much it is lending, what it is doing to RBI. The most important function of RBI is to issue notes, print currency on behalf of the central government. No other organization is allowed to issue currency except RBI. Neither anyone can refuse payment in terms of money. Thus, money is widely accepted as well as exchanged. Okay. Another, now RBI monitors the entire currency circulation in the country by having various tools. Okay. Let us see the first one is CRR, cash reservation. Now, functions of RBI, it is exactly not given in your book, but I'm just telling you all because as on and off it is given somewhere in one line or two, okay? But you have to know what does RBI do. Every bank is supposed to maintain a certain amount of cash in RBI, say for example 50% of its entire money, okay? This is called as cash reserve ratio. Okay, RBI controls the entire circulation of money in the economy. If RBI feels that there is less money circulation in the economy and it should be more, what RBI does is this, that it reduces the interest rate. Interest rate is reduced. Okay, so banks are having more money to forward to the people. If it feels that there is too much of currency, then it does what? It increases the interest rate. It increases the interest rate. Okay. Uh, Another tool which RBI is having, that is printing currency. If it feels that less currency is there in the economy and more currency should be there, it can increase the amount of printing of money, or it can reduce the amount of printing of money, vice versa. Is that clear? Okay. If RBI feels that banks are charging very high rate of interest, it can also reduce the interest rate so that people who are wanting to take credit at low rate of interest, they can come and they can get the credit from the bank. So as such, what we have to understand is this: RBI is not only printing paper currency and coins and everything, but it is controlling the entire money circulation in an economy. Okay, so it controls each and everything. This now. Let us come back again to formal and informal sources of credit. I was telling you all that RBI is the one institution which monitors the formal sources of credit. But as far as informal sources of credit is concerned, that is money lenders, relatives and all, there is no institution to monitor them. That is why what they are doing, they are charging a very high rate of interest, very high rate of interest when there is nobody to monitor them. Okay, here some graphs is given in your book and you have to see that graph and understand. Four graphs is given. The first graph shows that the poor household, in the poor household, it is 85% of the population who takes money from informal sources of credit, that is money lenders, and 15% are the people who take from formal sources. Second is household with few assets, that is medium household. In there we find 50-50. 50 are taken from formal sources, 50 are taken from informal sources. Then we come to well-off household. There what do we find? 75-25, you can take it. 75 are taken from formal sources of credit and 25 are taken from relative friends or money lenders. And if you take very rich household, here what do we find? 90% take from formal sources, that is banks and cooperatives, and only 10% takes from relatives and friends. The question arises over here is this, that why the poor people are taking money from informal sources of credit? Why? Because there is they are having lack of collateral. They are not having collateral. They are not having security, and that is why they do what? They go to the money lender who are knowing them and who give them the credit. And then here only, they are not only giving higher rate of interest, but they are also charging, but they also enter into debt trap. Okay, the last we are going to do is SHG, self-help groups. Self-help groups is a new concept which is fast emerging. Every now and then you can hear in the newspaper that SHG is doing this, SHG is doing that. Yesterday only in the newspaper it was there that SHG had made 10,000 of masks and within 1 hour or something, and then they were distributing it to the police or whatever. And the police was giving it to the public. SHG is a new concept which has come. Okay, SHG is just like a modern form of kitty party. What happens in a kitty party? That is 15 to 20 ladies, they meet, they enjoy, they contribute a certain amount of money, and then they give it to one person. Okay. Similarly, SHG. What happens in the villages is this, that 20 to 25 ladies, they get together, men are also allowed in this, and then they try to save a certain amount of money, maybe 100 to 500, it can vary, and then whoever is in need of that, of that money, it is given to that person as a loan, and the person can fulfills his basic needs, say for example of buying fertilizers or seeds or machines or whatever. Okay, and then what happens is this, that is that is they can complete these formalities and then they can repay the money. Okay, now uh, what happens is this, that if the SHG keeps on working smoothly for 1 year or 2 years, okay, then it can go to any bank, and it can ask for loan. It can ask for loan. Any member can ask for loan, and the bank, without any collateral will give the money, since he is a member of the SHG. He is a member of SHG without any collateral, without any kind of security. Is that clear? SHG. Now, if that person is unable to pay the loan, the matter is taken very seriously by the SHG. SHG is responsible for repayment of loan. In case of non-repayment by one member, the matter is taken very seriously by other member. Therefore, banks are willing to give loans to SHG without any collateral. SHG is not only helping the people to solve their small economic crisis or small money crisis, but it also provides a kind of platform to the ladies to discuss whatever they want. Say, for example, uh, issues like health, issues like nutrition, issues like domestic violence or beating or any kind of thing. In Odisha, SHG is very prominent. Recently, when it was struck by any kind of this hurricane, then it was the SHG which was responsible for providing food. SHG in the Naxalite area, they are taking this opportunity and taking this initiative to save themselves. Okay, you keep on hearing about these SHG. Conclusion, when we talk about this economic activities, they require loan as well as credit. And credit, we know that it is having both a negative as well as positive role. But it is very essential that formal sector should extend its lending activities more and more to each and every sector of the economy so that the economy can flourish. Is that clear? Okay, so this children completes your chapter. Kindly go through the chapter carefully. In the next class, we are going to start writing about this chapter.